Hello and welcome to Swiftly Spoken, a fan-made Taylor Swift podcast in which we break down her lyrics, deep dive into full album retrospectives, and theorise about what may be coming next. As always, we are your hosts Cameron and Lisa, and in this episode we're going to be discussing our theories about Speak Now Taylor's version and the Speak Now Vault. So in this episode we're going to start by discussing the possible release, promotion and general aesthetics of Speak Now Taylor's version, then move on to discuss our theories for possible Speak Now Vault songs, as well as our hopes for Vault collaborations.
Before we get into this episode, we wanted to give a quick disclaimer. Here we are, Lisa and Cameron from the future, just to announce that we recorded this episode back in summer, before the announcement of Midnights. Everything was prepared, it was ready to go, and then obviously Midnights was released, and it really didn't make sense for us to put this episode out at that time. However, everything we discuss does make sense as regard to Vault tracks, collaborators, and our general opinions about what might be happening with Speak Now Taylor's version. However, we thought that now is the best time to release this episode because now more than ever, we have a lot of information that basically confirms that Speak Now Taylor's version is next. It's going to be coming very soon, it seems.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we recorded this back in August, we were thinking, Speak Now is probably next. Obviously had no idea that Midnights was going to be a thing and then had to put this episode on halt to then release Midnight content. But now that Midnights is out, Midnights has meant that we've now had to put this episode out because Speak Now content is just heavily dominating and is coinciding, is definitely paralleling along with Midnights, and the kind of promo of Midnights is kind of weirdly promoting Speak Now in a very strange way, with obviously the Bejeweled music video, which was like very pointed to that Speak Now is next, with the kind of instrumental tracks of Enchanted, Long Live, then obviously Taylor clicking floor number 3 with the purple, and then number 13, which will be the 13th release, also being the purple, which suggests that Speak Now Taylor's version is next. So it's like so pointed to the fact that that's happening, and all the other million Easter eggs in that music video that point to Speak Now Taylor's version. And then we also have the YouTube short where Taylor is in the iconic Speak Now World Tour purple dress. Also then, even in Anti-Hero, we have Taylor with the koi guitar, which she has used throughout her career, but was very significant during the Speak Now World Tour and has kind of become synonymous with that tour. And she obviously smashes that up in the video for Anti-Hero, so it's like so pointed at the moment to Speak Now Taylor's version coming next. And then today we had the announcement of the Eras tour, and along with that announcement we also had loads of very pointed references to Speak Now lyrics, so it's just all very Speak Now at the moment, which is very exciting, very nervous, because it's like we've barely had Midnights, like a week, 2 weeks. It just seems like, is Speak Now imminent? Like, are we getting it this side of Christmas or post-Christmas, you know? So yeah, it's exciting, but yeah, it's funny that we recorded this way back when, about 2 months ago, and we thought it was relevant then, but it's way more relevant now.
Exactly. That's why we thought that it was best to release this now before anything else goes down and is announced or is surprise dropped, which is something that we do discuss in this video. But of course now we have all this information behind, so we really wanted to put this out now. This doesn't mean that we want Taylor to rush the Speak Now release, because we are, you know, we've got so much Midnights content that it does make us apprehensive in a way to have Speak Now at the same time. But just in case, we thought that we would put this episode out. Something that we did discuss in our 3am reaction episode, which will be out further along the line. We're going to postpone it for now to be able to put this emergency episode out, is that Midnights and Speak Now are albums that have like this crazy link to them. They both seem to be very album-oriented albums. They both seem to be very laid-bare, emotional albums. And we do discuss in this episode, as you're going to hear in just a minute, that with each release of a Taylor's version, she kind of does different things to promote the Taylor's version. And I think she's doing a really good job with Speak Now TV and Midnights at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think that everyone was kind of not sure how she was going to promote Speak Now, but it's really interesting that it's being kind of paralleled along with the Midnights promotion, and in a really fun way. Like, one thing that I find really funny though is that kind of Taylor fans and stuff are so like come up with all these like ridiculous Easter eggs and count this and count that, whereas Taylor's Easter eggs are so obvious. Like, they just couldn't be more obvious. They are basically like, yes, Speak Now is next. I'm wearing the purple dress. Like, I'm literally referencing lyrics in my captions. In my recent music video, I have, like, the instrumental tracks to 2 Speak Now songs, you know,
Exactly.
and then I'm literally clicking buttons to Speak Now and basically tell you the release order of her entire discography, which obviously at the end has Speak Now TV. So it's just so obvious, and it's very exciting, though. It is exciting, but yeah, it's interesting that, like you said, that these 2 albums have been parallel together and weirdly do have a lot of crossover with very strong lyrically, like you said, very laid bare. Then with the would've, could've, should've, see, then that referencing the time during the stuff that is then referenced within the Speak Now album is also really interesting. So there's lots of crossovers between the 2.
It's definitely a very intelligent way to hype up an album such as Speak Now. So because of all of that, here is the episode, which we did record before, but like we said, everything that we speak about does make sense right now as well. In terms of how this Taylor's version may be released, the promo it could have, and the aesthetic in general, one of the ideas that we have spoken about before and that maybe she might play around with is a drop everything now release. Like a surprise, here's everything, kind of like a Folklore Evermore kind of thing.
I think it's more realistic now with, obviously, Folklore and Evermore, the fact that that's literally how she did it, and obviously then, like you said, playing on the Sparks Fly lyric, and then also the fact that each of these Taylor's versions appear to be having different approaches to their release, and this would be quite a unique, interesting way to do so.
Every Taylor's version has kind of followed its own release pattern. We've said this before, but Fearless was kind of like the testing out, more of a, not so much of a traditional run, but, you know, we had a lead and then we had the actual thing. Red was completely different, obviously favoured different parts of the album, obviously All Too Well, a very long lead up to it, but in a very different way. So I do think we might get a surprise at some point.
Another thing, I suppose, then, is the name, because strangely, Speak Now, there's been a lot of discussion recently that it might not be called Speak Now and they might change the name of it, which I think personally is ludicrous. It's like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, but what do you think about that? And elaborate more on that.
I don't think that's going to happen. The story behind that is that originally we've known for a while now that originally Speak Now wasn't going to be called Speak Now. Originally it was going to be called Enchanted, but Taylor had a talk with Scott. But anyway, so she had a chat with him, and in the end he kind of convinced her to change it up, just to make it a bit different from Fearless. Fearless already had quite a fairy tale feel to it. So she went away and thought about it, and then she came up with Speak Now, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was Scott's fault that it was changed, we want Enchanted. But for me, I do think Speak Now fits the album so much better, because then, you know, she moulded this narrative around it where all of the songs fit into being things, confessions, that she didn't say in the moment. So she's speaking now.
Yeah.
I think
we mentioned it before. I think that Speak Now works as a theme so much better
than Enchanted,
because not all of those songs have that fairy tale feel, like Last Kiss, like what on earth? Like that wouldn't fit into this fairy tale idea. Whereas, yeah, like you said, the Speak Now idea works so much better. It just works with the concept of the album of like, yeah, these are the things you didn't say in the moment, so you're saying them now, whether they're positive things or negative things. So no, I think that, yeah, it would be so stupid to change the name because it would create such confusion. The whole point of the Taylor's versions is that they're supposed to be identical to the originals in as many ways as possible, so that people opt for these ones.
Another reason a lot of people were saying that the name could be changed is because of all of the trademarking problems that are going on behind the scenes, which we don't really know all of the ins and outs of, but again, we've spoken about this before. There's already a trademark called Speak Now, which belongs to a technology company, but I do think there's been talks behind the scenes, so I think that she's definitely going to call it Speak Now, Taylor's version. It just wouldn't make sense. It's what you said. It just wouldn't make sense. People wouldn't recognize it, and honestly, another big thing which we'll be speaking about in the same vein as this change of a name is the change of songs, like Better Than Revenge.
Yes.
But we'll get into that. But I really don't think she's going to try and change the least that she has to and that she can.
The whole point of them, and she has said this herself, is that they are like identical replicas of the originals, to devalue the originals so that people choose to listen to these ones, so that publishing people, movies, TV shows, which she has been using a lot in the promo for Taylor's version, want to use these versions. And what she's basically doing is making those original albums and recordings valueless unless she owns them.
The films and how she's promoting Taylor's versions, and how this year we got, this love through a television series, and there's been snippets from the beginning. There's been snippets in adverts, films. So yeah, she's doing a good job with that, with showing not just the fans and the people who are streaming, because honestly, I think she's got the support of most of the GP, of obviously all of her fans, and even radio stations and stuff. So that way she's showing industry people, just like you said, this was the one that is favourable to you and easy to access, and it's the one that I own. So definitely.
The ethically sourced version.
Exactly, as she puts it, yeah.
Okay, so another thing, I suppose, then is the cover. How do you feel about the cover? Because the Speak Now cover is a strange one anyway, because obviously the dress isn't actually purple. It was originally red, and then it's edited to kind of look like a paint effect.
Yeah, it's almost like a painting, isn't it? Yeah. We've spoken about this before, and about the Taylor's versions photo shoots before. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's hard to let go of them old covers. But to be honest, I was able to let go of the Fearless cover and the red cover, especially that red cover. I let go of that quick.
Oh, yeah.
For the new one. But I do hope we get, which is something we've discussed, and I think we both hope, I do hope we get like a proper photo shooty kind of moment. I hope it's not another, Evermore folklore. Yeah. Which they're not really rejects, because she does go out with the thought of this part of the photo shoot is going to be for Red, this part of the photo shoot is going to be for Fearless, and it captures that vibe. But I think you put it best in, I believe it was our Reputation Taylor's version, or maybe even the 1989 Taylor's version episode. Either way, you spoke about how those albums, and including Speak Now, they're very much indoor, like studio kind of setups for their covers. Yeah. Whereas for Debut, she could easily get away with using one of those Evermore photos.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And so she could with Red as well, she could with Fearless. But the other three, I definitely think that she's going to have to, or maybe she's done it already, like a secondary location where, she gets dressed up in some fancy purple dress.
Yeah, I really want that kind of ethereal purple dress, flowy moment. It doesn't have to look painted. I think that will possibly look a bit tacky now. I don't think it would work very well against the other covers, but just a kind of big flowy dress I think would look really cool.
Looking at the other side of it, obviously a big thing for the Red Taylor's version era was, the all too well 10-minute movie almost.
Yes.
So do you think that she'll kind of do any promotion in terms of music videos? Has that now become a staple of the Taylor's version re-releases?
I hope so. I'm thinking that definitely in terms of vault tracks.
Yeah.
I think that it would be stupid not to give them, because I Bet You Think About Me music video is really successful. She got Blake Lively involved, famous actors involved, and then it was even nominated for Video of the Year at a Country Music Awards show. So it was pretty successful, and then obviously it encourages more people to stream the track, watch the music video. It just helps with streaming and numbers. But I also think that she has mentioned that she wants to go back and give fans what they wanted the first time round.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that will mean that then the songs that didn't get music videos that deserve music videos will get them. And I think out of all of the Speak Now songs, the one that ironically has kind of really blown up recently has been Enchanted. And I think Enchanted does deserve a music video. And personally, if I was it was like, okay, decide what you want the music video to be. I don't really know what I would pick, what would the Enchanted music video entail?
I know, it's difficult. I mean, obviously, the images that came out with the adverts for the perfumes back in the day.
The Wonderstruck, yeah.
Yeah, that obviously kind of encapsulates what it could be. I have no idea, though, what she could show, because it is quite a difficult song, but it's definitely a very, very popular one.
The song that I've always felt like really deserved a music video, purely because it was just so visual, is Speak Now.
Definitely.
The song.
Definitely.
Because of that, I can pitch that music video.
Just the image that you get in the photo shoot, in the Speak Now booklet, of her kind of interrupting a wedding. I don't know why, when I was younger, I would always look up Speak Now MV, before I knew what releases will come in and go in and all of this, just because I thought it's such a visual song that it has to have an MV. I want to see Taylor interrupting a wedding, although technically
I bet you think about me. This is what I was thinking. Yeah,
we've done it. Yeah,
the Speak Now. Would it just be? Would people feel like, okay, yeah, this is a bit of a rehash? Because that's basically what she does there.
Another big thing that has been carrying these Taylor's version releases, and even the folklore era, really, which is again what we spoke about recently, is the presence of certain pieces of merch. So obviously for folklore, the cardigan, which we recently discussed in our folklore retrospective episode, was a big thing. Yeah. For Fearless, we had that like key necklace, which was a big thing, and really the vault itself was like the big thing around Fearless. And then for Red, of course, we have the famous scarf. So for Speak Now, the ring, of course, the ring for Red as well. Yeah, you're right. For Speak Now, I'm not sure. The only thing I can really think of merch-wise that is so iconic would be to bring back those perfumes.
Yeah, and I just don't know what the ownership is on that.
Right.
Like, who owns what? Because obviously it was done with Elizabeth Arden, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm not sure how lucrative celebrity perfumes are anymore. No one really seems to do them. They now seem to just be a face of a perfume rather than create their own.
That's true, they're just like...
Like Harry Styles has kind of been the face of Gucci, and Miley's done it recently, and I think Dua Lipa was the face of some perfume. So that seems to be the way now. Ariana Grande seems to pump them out, but she hasn't pumped one out in a while. Because with, like, Incredible Things, the rollout was so minimal in comparison to Wonderstruck that had, like,
Definitely.
its own mini era in the Speak Now era. Like,
that's what I mean.
And extended beyond it, really.
Yeah, because it was so big during the Speak Now era. Maybe not re-release the perfume itself. I know it's very, like, it is very 2010, but like a charm bracelet with the perfumes. Like, you know that charm bracelet that you got on the perfumes back in the day?
Yeah.
But instead of those random charms, like a little bottle of perfume, I don't know. Yeah. I'm probably just inventing things.
That would be quite... Because to be fair, they are mimicking previous merch. Like, even with that random old Taylor merch drop that they did, the kind of recreating the 1989 sunglasses.
Exactly.
Then also the Speak Now necklace was kind of... It was different, but still a kind of reference to the original Speak Now necklace that we got during the Speak Now era.
Moving on now to the actual songs on the album. As we know, we're going to get the 14 standard songs on Speak Now, as well as the 3 deluxe ones. And there are 3 alternate versions that were featured on some of the deluxe versions of Speak Now. For Fearless and Red, we did get the alternate versions that were included, though we did not get the demo versions, because obviously you can't really recreate a demo. But the 3 alternate versions that we have for Speak Now are Back to December acoustic version, Haunted acoustic version, and Mine pop mix. How do you feel about them? Do you think we'll see them again?
No, I really don't.
Really?
I think because the State of Grace acoustic was so different.
Yes.
Like, she went back in and totally re-recorded it totally differently.
Yeah. In the same sense, Fearless piano version of Forever and Always is very different.
Always, was totally different. I was quite surprised that we did get that State of Grace acoustic. I didn't really expect it.
I'm so glad we got it. It's my favourite.
I'm glad as well, yeah. I'm really glad we definitely got it. But I didn't expect it at all. But then thinking about it, it is totally different. Whereas these acoustic versions, one, Speak Now Deluxe isn't even on most streaming. Also, these acoustic versions are basically the same track with just slightly toned down a bit. Like, I think Haunted, I don't really listen to it that often because it just feels like a kind of weird version of it. Haunted is a bit more stringy.
The thing about them, I think, is that they aren't recorded again. They're just stripped back and played with the audio, especially with the pop mix of Mine.
Oh yeah, it's a bit like with the country version of We're Never Ever Getting Back Together and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think these are going to be a thing. They remind me of like the songs that are on Beautiful Eyes that are just like alternative version, and you're kind of there listening, being like, what is really different? Or even the international versions on the Fearless International CD back.
That's true, and we never got them.
Yeah, so I don't think so. If I was to bet on it, I'd say no.
So that would leave us with just 14 standard, 3 deluxe, which I definitely do think are going to be there.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
There is something to discuss within those 17 songs. There's been a lot of talk about well, the big one really, the controversial song of the album, Better Than Revenge. Some people think it's going to be changed, some people think it's going to be left the same. Then obviously with Girl at Home, people saw that things could be changed, although we have to note that production was changed, but not lyrical content. So how do you feel about Better Than Revenge? Do you think she's going to veto it? Do you think she's going to change it up, change the lyrics, or just go for it and re-record as it is?
I really hope nothing changes.
I know, so do I.
I know the
That sounds
message of
terrible.
that song isn't the best. Like, it's not the end of the world. You know, like, there's all sorts of messages in all sorts of songs that are not great, that no one ever mentions or brings up. 80% of the teenage population at some point have had an opinion about someone that wasn't great and was a bit angsty and was a little bit better than Revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it is.
It's not. I think people
not great,
make
but
it more. Exactly, it's not great, and it's not something. And you know, with Taylor mentioning about how with the love triangle of folklore, how you know she's realised that this whole idea that someone's stolen your man and there's this other girl,
it doesn't work like that,
isn't a thing. And you know, the fact that she's now said that now shows that she therefore doesn't believe with the sentiment of Better Than Revenge. However, I think that people make more of an issue. I think fans make more of an issue out of it than... Well, it's not even non-fans that are making an issue out of it. It's Swifties that make an issue out of it. And I'm just like...
As always.
It's just... I think it is, like, it's not great. I totally agree with that. It's not, you know...
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, the song as a whole isn't that bad because, like you said, it's very teen angst. It's very
teen angst, and it's the same as some stuff. You know, like it's in the same kind of vein as like "Good for You."
I know,
but it's that one. Lyric.
It's that one lyric. It's the slut shamey lyric. You know, obviously Taylor would never go there now. She's matured much more, and I know this sounds absolutely terrible, but when we're teenagers, we do think of these things like, and they're wrong, and it's not right. Because,
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but it is something. The majority
of teenagers have thought something like that. And that song, I love Better Than Revenge. It just goes off and it's so much fun. And so I would be so upset if it was changed or muted down or not even included. And I think that if it wasn't, again, that would defeat the whole object.
Well, the thing is, she's in a difficult placement because she's damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't. It is a difficult situation. It really is, especially that one lyric.
Because it's hard to be like, oh, I don't defend or can agree with this.
But here's the song.
But I've sung a 4-minute song about it.
I know.
That's the thing. It's really hard to kind of get that middle ground between like making it clear that this is not something you support, but also you want ownership to your songs. And like people do. That's the thing. Most of the people that disregard it and like, oh, I don't agree with it. I always see the things of people being like, oh, but I still want it.
I know.
Because it's such a good song.
I know. I feel bad at myself. It's like, it is the meme of feminism leaving my body for 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. She's capable of dealing with these things. I'm sure whatever she comes up with.
Exactly. I think that realistically, if that song has lived for that long anyway, and there hasn't been that much of a kickoff other than... The only reason there's been a kickoff is because it's going to be re-recorded. Yeah, but honestly, if we look back at Taylor's discography, there are other songs in which feminist ideals and values have been called into question, whether for good or for bad. Like, even You Belong With Me had a lot of think pieces and a lot of issues raised with it. Some people defending it for being a feminist anthem to some extent, others really going in on it because it is, again, you're comparing yourself to this other girl and kind of putting her down because she's a cheer captain or whatever. But again, it does depend a little bit about, you know, how you visualize it and how you listen to it, and it's up for interpretation. Even like Girl at Home, I remember a lot of people, there was a lot of discussion being all like, because of that I'm not a stupid girl lyric. And when Speak Now was released, she was very proud of it. Yeah. I remember there's that video. I know, I know which one. After she performs, what's it, Back to December? Yep. And someone's like, I love Better Than Revenge. She's like, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she performed it on tour. Yeah. And I see Taylor Swift club nights where they play Better Than Revenge and people go mad for it. I think the context is the key. It's not, you know, it's a 18, 19-year-old's perspective of something that hurt her. And in a world that has changed quite a lot, things have changed, and I think we can take it in that context. Like, this is a re-recording, it's not a new release. And she's, very much established
with songs like August and Illicit Affairs that obviously, you know, the world's not as black and white as all that. It's very much complex and everyone can have these feelings, even if sometimes these feelings aren't really correct or warranted.
He's still slightly upset the Girl at Home was changed.
I understand that. I guess it's because it was never very popular and it was kind of like a demo-y kind of thing that she just thought, well, you know, it's not the most popular of songs anyway, so I might as well just go in.
Give people more of a reason.
I do enjoy it though. I do enjoy it, but
I do like it. I didn't hate the original.
The thing is though, I will go back and listen to the original just to get that original sound. So that's the problem. Like, I won't listen to any of Red stolen version, original version, any, because there's no point. Or Fearless, there's just no point. But I have found myself going back to the one song
I have gone
that
back
has changed.
Exactly. I have thought to myself, because I've listened to the Girl at Home Taylor's version one so much, I'm like, well, yeah, how did the original sound again? And I go back and listen to it.
Yeah. So,
because it's
like
different.
I said, it's very difficult. It's going to be a very difficult decision for her. And other difficult things are recording such gut-wrenching songs. We spoke about this in our Last Kiss episode, but songs like Last Kiss, songs like Dear John, she hasn't played them live for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Because that's so difficult.
Since their original release, really.
Yeah. So that's going to be really hard.
Yeah, and there's a lot of discussion about Dear John, because obviously, you know...
No, she better not change anything. Drop that name.
Again.
Because you can get away with it anyway, because Dear John letter is a anonymous letter you send, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And also, hopefully, those people that it is about have moved on from it. It was a thing at the time. But it's, you know, there's been other songs written since then. It's not that much of a problem. As long as people don't turn it into a problem, that's the problem.
That is it.
That when fans then create a problem and then start attacking that person, like Jake Gyllenhaal, and people just proceeded to attack him for something that he did 10 years ago, that Taylor has said herself is not a paternity test. It's purely to have ownership and give fans... Exactly.
And it's part of her story. It's part of her life. It's part of her lyricism. It's part of her story. And I do hope that fans can kind of, we were going to feel hurt for her, but these are processed feelings now. Like, we can move on from them.
She's in a happy relationship now.
Moving on now to the most interesting part of Taylor's version releases, the From the Vault tracks. So we've already discussed this, but it's going to be difficult at some point to come up with different ways to unlock the vault and make it exciting. It's always going to be exciting because we were always interesting to see all of the things that were left on the cutting room floor. I don't know, unlocking the vault, I can't even think of how she's going to do it at this point.
Maybe unless she does something with the Drop Everything Now.
Maybe.
And that's used in the way with the vault, where it's just like, here we go.
Yeah.
There's the vault.
Because
maybe it might be something like that.
Yeah, using lyrics maybe as well, something like that. Because obviously Speak Now is a self-written album, not in its entirety if we count the deluxe track. So a lot of people will always say, it's self-written, which technically it is. The standard version is completely self-written. However, if this was a movie, it does have a co-writer on it. It is true that technically it's not a completely self-written album. With that in mind, would she include more self-written solo songs?
Yeah, I've thought about this, whether there was co-writes going on at the time, and whether then
she
decided,
cut them.
Yeah, I only want the self-written songs.
Especially for the standard edition.
But I do think that she went in with the headspace of wanting, because of all the stuff that happened during Fearless, where they were saying, is she actually offering much weight in these co-write sessions?
Yeah.
Even though at the time her biggest song ever, Love Story, was a solo write.
I know, but
and now we've even found out that one of her other biggest songs ever, Shake It Off, is also technically a solo write.
Yeah.
With the Shake It Off court case, Max Martin and you on Shellback Bay said, Taylor came up with it all. So I'm not sure whether then basically all of the rejects would also be solos. I hope so.
This is it. It's interesting because rejects could easily be these rejected solo writes, or they could be rejects that were co-writes that were rejected with that in mind, with her thinking, I can't put these on, or if I want to put any, it should be on the deluxe. And then obviously from them, she might have just picked one and said that's that. But definitely interesting. Moving to, firstly, before we get into that a bit more, the songs that we've already discussed and that were released around the time that Speak Now was around, the era itself. We have previously spoken about these 4 options, but there could be an option to see Sparks Fly in its original version. Also, Safe and Sound and Eyes Open, and finally, Long Live, the remixed version with Paula Fernandez. So, what do you think about all of those? We have spoken about them briefly before, but...
I think, it's Safe and Sound and Eyes Open are the most realistic.
Yeah.
I do hope so, but there is a thing where actually Big Machine don't appear to own them.
Yes.
Because, so there maybe isn't a reason to put them on there. They weren't on Red, that would be the only other logical place.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore the only then other logical place is Speak Now.
Yeah.
There's also not that many Speak Now tracks, there's only actually 17.
This is true.
Adding 2 others to it wouldn't really overflow that track list when you think there's 30 on Red. So I hope so. I really do hope so. I think it would be sad if those kind of get left behind a bit.
Spoke about them before in our collaboration video, I believe, but when we spoke about them, we basically discussed that both of them don't seem to be owned by Big Machine, and apart from that, it would be very difficult, I believe, to do Safe and Sound again with that feature on it, the Civil Wars, who have basically broken up. They don't really work together anymore. I honestly don't think we're going to see them on any album.
I don't, which is a shame. But but the Sparks Fly original, I don't think will be on Speak Now because it was changed for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that that isn't going to happen, unfortunately. Even on debut or anything, those lyrics were changed. You know what I mean? She changed them for Speak Now for a specific reason. So then to put them on to Speak Now would just be like, oh, well, what's the point in that? And I don't think the Long Live remix will either, unfortunately.
That's sad, because I'd kind of love that. I'd kind of love that.
It is quite nice, but I just don't know whether... It's not on streaming, so there's no real demand for it. It was kind of it was given heavy promo in Brazil, but...
That's about it.
Zilch anywhere else. Yeah, like 0 anywhere else. So I don't think it's even that well known, really.
I agree.
I think, unfortunately, most of these are a no, and Safe and Sound and Eyes Open are a maybe, but a very light maybe, which is, again, a bit of a shame.
So that's crazy, because it would leave us with the 14 standards, the 3 deluxe, and then we would cut straight to the vault tracks, to proper, never heard before vault tracks. So there's a lot of songs that were rumoured to have been recorded around the time of Speak Now. Some of them are just names that go around, but others they do seem pretty realistic. We have some information about them. So let's get into the first one, which is the biggest one, which I think is basically confirmed just because I would think so anyway, because it did get leaked, because everyone knows about it. Everyone kind of is demanding it. I'm sure she knows about that we know about it, which is Battle, also known as Let's Go. It actually is, or at least it was, a bit debated about what era it was from. Some people thought it was a 1989 cut because of its similarities to Bad Blood, I guess, in a way. Other people thought maybe it was a Red track, but, well, we have Taylor's version of Red now, so we can confirm that that's a hard no. But it does look most likely to be a Speak Now era studio demo. That was a studio demo claiming to be from the Speak Now era was leaked in November of 2018. It's known as both Let's Go and Battle, which could be a very Bye Bye Baby one thing situation to it. Yeah, some people say it's wrongly titled as Battle, and the song is actually called Let's Go. Yeah, it's claimed to have been written in the initial stages of the writing for Speak Now, but we don't know where this leak came from, really, so we can't be sure. So apparently it was first teased by a Twitter account, Cynthia Boyce, and they're known for leaking information about pop music, and that was teased back in 2015. But then we didn't get the actual leaked song until 2018. So it has been going around for a long time. I know that the Inner Circle had it. Yes. It's a bit like the Better Man demo that just randomly got released a week before Red. That was just so random. That's amazing. True. It was incredible to hear it, but it was just that's random. I would like Battle. It kind of is a continuation of the kind of Story of Us. Definitely. It's like the bridge of Story of Us. Definitely. Basically. The bridge of Story of Us, but in a whole song. I can
it's
see
quite
this.
a good song.
Yeah, I can see this being left out because of that.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think that's probably why didn't make the track, because it just felt like a Story of Us continuation. Yeah. But I think with Taylor's new vocals, it would sound good, would definitely work, and with a kind of bigger production rather than the demo production that the leaked version has. So yeah, I think it's quite realistic, definitely.
As we mentioned, the only co-writer on Speak Now, the deluxe version, is Martin Johnson, who is the frontman of the band Boys Like Girls, and they wrote If This Was a Movie together. However, it's also been rumoured that they wrote another song together, apparently called Drama Queen. We don't know anything about this song, honestly, like, all we have is the name.
I don't really know whether it would... I've always felt like maybe it would fit in a Better Than Revenge kind of world.
I guess... This is it's difficult because for Red we did kind of know a bit about the tracks, but with Speak Now...
Because of the Inner Circle, but yeah.
Yeah, mostly because of the Inner Circle and because some of the co-writers had also spoken about them, like, you know, Marcus Mumford or whatever. With Martin Johnson, he hasn't really given any information about it, so all we know is the name. I'm guessing from the name it's going to be a bit like that as well, like very angsty, very teeny.
And if it is, then either lyrics will be changed,
definitely,
or it won't be included.
Yeah.
And the thing is obviously there's no previous leak, so we wouldn't know anyway if lyrics were changed. But I think that is very likely if it is going to be similar to... Because Boys Like Girls kind of had that punk, poppy sound.
Definitely, which runs through Speak Now.
Yeah, it runs through Speak Now, so I think that if I was to guess, it would be in a similar vein to Better Than Revenge, but like I said, the lyrics would be changed. So that they are not in the same vein as Better Than Revenge. They're a little bit tamer.
Yeah.
But there's not really much to discuss because we only know a title, and it's quite... Titles are often very misleading. Sometimes
definitely, especially with Taylor. Happiness.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's so much harder to then, work out what...
That's unfortunate because all we have, apart from these two, apart from knowing that co-writer and apart from, Battle, which we do have a lot, we have it basically, but other than that, all we have is a long list of names of songs that are all rumoured to have been written or recorded around the time of Speak Now, 2008, 2009-ish. I'm going to read them out, but again, how many are real? How many are things that have just caught on through time? We can't really tell, but anyway, the names are from 2008. We have rumoured songs such as Castles Crumbling, He's Lies, I Can See You, Someone Just Told Me, and Wonderful Things. And from 2009, we have 3 rumoured songs which are Bother Me, Foolish One, and Timeless.
Timeless is quite funny because then...
Yep.
I swear that's been used about 20 times since then.
Yeah, Reputation.
Yeah. So again, it's hard to really know how realistic these are. Castles Crumbling gives me Long Live vibes.
That's a big one that is rumoured to be a real one, basically. It's a big one that a lot of people...
I Can See You. I don't know. It sounds like some sort of peekaboo thing. I don't know. That's a bit strange.
Yeah.
Bother Me, again, feels like some sort of Better Than Revenge thing. And Foolish One would, I would feel like would be quite a sad last kiss kind of thing.
But again, it could be like, I'm the foolish one or you're the foolish one. Like,
maybe you're the foolish one for leaving. Yeah, again, Better Than Revenge. I would just send all of these, I'm just like,
Better Than Revenge
Better Than Revenge.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, I'm a bit worried about Better Than Revenge, but like, I want all of these songs to be Better Than Revenge. Yeah.
Basically.
So yeah, it's hard to really know. We shall see.
There's not really much else that we can say about all of what may be in the vault. It's one of the most highly guarded vaults in terms of being an older release, but at the same time we don't really have much from it. Like Debut, we have loads of unreleased tracks. Fearless, we kind of knew what was going on as well. Even Red, we had a lot of good ideas that we could go with. From 1989 onwards, it does get harder. Definitely these ones are very rumour based, and that's about it. There are another couple of rumour based songs that fly around. One is Boys in Love, which basically is a title of a song that was inspired by an interview that Taylor gave, in which someone asked her, what is this next album about? Referencing Speak Now, and she answered Boys and Love. And so people have kind of run with that and thought that that could be a name of a track, which on one hand I'm thinking like, no, but on the other, look what she did with Message in a Bottle.
Message in a Bottle, yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know whether she would have thought that cleverly. But then I suppose she didn't include Message in a Bottle.
Exactly. And she said that a couple of times. She was mentioning Message in a Bottle like quite a lot.
I'm not sure.
I kind of don't think so. I really don't think so. I think she was just being literal, but
yeah,
just in case, we thought we'd mention. And another one is one that apparently someone who went to the Speak Now tea party, which was basically the meet and greet during the Speak Now world tour, a fan asked Taylor, had she written any songs recently, and she said that she had, and it was a song called If Kisses Were Wishes. There's even rumoured lyrics that fly around the internet, but honestly, the rumoured lyrics I definitely don't think are real, but even the song itself, I don't know, could it just be some person randomly inventing something? I'm not sure.
It's hard, and it's hard because it was so long ago now that it's happened. It's hard to kind of really remember where that came from, because sometimes these things, it's like this person said this, and it's like, yeah, but when? You know, there's a lot of stuff nowadays that I'm like, I don't think someone did say that. Where's the evidence of that? It's come from someone on Twitter.
That's it. So, and anyone can come up with anything, really. And like, if you've met Taylor, you can come up with anything. And honestly, this could be, I don't know. I don't want to say like it was done for clout, especially not back in them days. But
even Taylor herself, in our previous episode, talking about the Lover's Secret Session, Taylor herself was like, careful what you say about me, don't misquote me.
Exactly.
Because someone has been misquoting me, and, you know, so it's like, you know, it could have been just totally kind of taken out of context, or it could be totally true, it could be true. But also, if that was the Speak Now tea party, that would mean that technically it would be a red reject.
In a way, yes. But as we do know, with Fearless, especially with the Fearless, they kind of extend both ways. So maybe, and it does kind of, the name it at least does honestly fit more of a Speak Now vibe than a red vibe, I think.
Yeah, it fits the Speak Now vibe. I just don't know if in 2011 she's still she was making some of those red tracks at that point.
I know.
Like, All Too Well would have been either created or about to because be
that was that's true. That's crazy. That overlap would be very strange. Definitely.
Exactly, yeah. I just don't know it.
Yeah. If I was to guess, I do think Battle is going to appear. At least I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I do think maybe that other co-write with Martin Johnson. I'm not sure if it'll be called Drama Queen. It could be completely changed about.
Yeah.
But I do think we might get that, considering he is the only co-writer on Speak Now at this point. And then from the others, it's all just so rumour-based that I wouldn't like to say.
Yeah, me too. I really wouldn't like to guess. It is hard, but I totally agree with your two picks as well. Okay, so the only other thing that we can kind of mention is the infamous Mirror tracklist. So this was an initial tracklist for Fearless. However, Sparks Fly, which was on this kind of temporary tracklist, ended up on Speak Now. So there's a possibility that maybe some of the other songs could also maybe end up on Speak Now. So the songs that were included on this tracklist were Permanent Marker, Tell Me Why, I'd Lie, Fearless, Dark Blue Tennessee, Sparks Fly, and The One Thing. So obviously out of these ones, Tell Me Why and Fearless obviously ended up on Fearless. Sparks Fly eventually ended up on Speak Now, and The One Thing, which was renamed Bye Bye Baby, ended up on the Fearless Vault. So that leaves us 3 songs that at this moment in time aren't officially released onto any album, which is Permanent Marker, I'd Lie, and Dark Blue Tennessee. All of these have leaked versions of. One of them, Permanent Marker, was actually sold to another artist. So I don't know maybe whether...
That could be difficult to do.
That could be difficult, but then I suppose Babe and Better Man were also the same.
True.
And I don't think... Permanent Marker, I could not imagine going on Speak Now. It's so debut for me. I think all of these songs are so debut.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, Dark Blue Tennessee maybe, but I just wouldn't see the need. I would feel like Speak Now Taylor would have been writing so many other songs that she wouldn't need to pull them. Whereas I understand with Fearless why they pulled a lot of debut songs, because probably a lot of the Fearless rejects were the Platinum edition. Yeah,
you're right there. Definitely. I agree with you. Honestly, these Mirror songs are included just because of what happened to Sparks Fly, but as we've already discussed, Sparks Fly has a very specific story to it and a very specific reason for being on Speak Now. So I have to agree with you. These 3 songs are interesting, and I do think we're going to see them on debut.
Yeah, definitely. I would be really annoyed, especially if we didn't see Idler and Dark Blue Tennessee. Okay, so finally we'll move on to discuss possible collabs for Speak Now. So obviously across the standard and deluxe there are no collabs in the album in any way. Even really in terms of co-writes, there's only one of those. And most of the songs, Nathan Chapman, it was basically just Taylor and Nathan Chapman. So
yeah, it was.
So Speak Now is not a very collaborative album in terms of songwriters, producers, actual artists. So
not
it's
at all.
really hard to kind of work out what would be, with like Red, it was kind of, you could kind of think, oh well, this is who she collaborated with on that, so maybe this is who would be and even on Fearless, obviously it was only one collaboration, but again, that collaboration was similar in vein to the ones that were then included on the Vault.
Definitely.
So it's so hard to really pick. So who do you think is a possibility? And then we'll go on to who we would like.
Right, so it is very difficult. It is very difficult because we don't have any collaborators on the album, and maybe she won't put any on the Vault, but I can't imagine that happening just because it is another selling point for the album itself, for Taylor's version and for the Vault. So I do think we are going to get collaborators both in writing and in actual artists on the track. So I guess more realistically, well, before I go into this, we have to mention that we always kind of break down the collaborators on the Vault as someone who was around in the era and someone new and up and coming whose sound kind of is similar to whatever the sound cultivated on that album was. But again, it's very difficult because the Speak Now era was absolutely filled with lots and lots of different people at the actual Speak Now World Tour. Like, she would get
across a variety of different genres.
Exactly. It was just like so different. Like, Nicki Minaj was there. Like,
Nicki Minaj, Tim McGraw.
Exactly.
James Taylor.
Right. It's just so
it's such a random, you know what I mean, to go from someone like James Taylor, which is a real kind of singer-songwriter, to Nicki Minaj, to Tim
which is like a rapper,
to Hayley Williams. I think she also brought out.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Selena. It's a real mix.
So,
to be fair, Hayley Williams is actually really realistic because obviously the songs Speak Now.
The thing is, I think we have to think about what side of the Speak Now album Taylor is going to lean into. So I don't think she's going to lean into the country side because we have Debut and Fearless for that. I don't think she's going to lean into the pop side because we have the rest of the albums for that. So I think that this could be a great opportunity for her to lean into that kind of more rock, punk kind of vibe that is present to some extent in Speak Now. So yeah, names like Hayley Williams, names like Avril Lavigne, I think could be. I know that Avril and Taylor have a deep respect for each other's crafts, so I'm kind of rooting for that. Another name, which is obviously maybe not such a popular opinion, but Lenny Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz is a good friend of Taylor's, and
really good friend.
She has written about Lenny Kravitz and his art during the pandemic, so perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's hard. Or either Taylor, she could either lean into that element of Speak Now or the more orchestral side of Back to December and Haunted, the kind of, with the kind of big orchestral band element, which would then be like, who do you then bring into that? But weirdly, I thought that I was quite surprised with the Red Vault how actually the majority was more country. We only really got 2 pop songs, whereas I expected it to mainly be pop. It was only really Message in the Bottom the very first night, whereas like Better Man, Babe, I Bet You Think About Me, Run, were majority country, especially I Bet You Think About Me. Like, that's like one of her most country songs ever. So it's really interesting, what part of Speak Now she'll lean into, because there's so many different facets to that album. Yeah,
and depending on that, we'll get different artists, I'm sure. I mean, we might even get like one artist for the more country sound and another artist for the more punky poppy sound.
Yeah. I think also another person that was around at the time is obviously Owl City. That's
oh my god, yes.
Enchanted.
I want an Enchanted duet.
And then the response, I don't think she will.
I know it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. How iconic. It would
be quite nice. It would be quite nice.
It would. But, because honestly, I don't think Adam, who, Owl City Adam, he would hold any grudge towards her or anything, and she wouldn't towards him. I know that they enjoy each other's music. Owl City has collaborated in more pop sounding things because his sound is very eclectic as well. So, you know, with Carly Rae Jepsen and stuff. Yeah. So honestly, I would love for him to feature. I would love for a little secret enchanted duet to go on. I would love that. I know it's not going to happen, but in my heart, it's like the Harry Styles collab on 1989.
It's 89 that everyone wants.
Yeah, in my heart, those two collabs exist. Yeah. Oh,
I think Selena's quite realistic, but I also think
agree.
She is more. She would be better suited to 1989 or Rep.
Really? Yeah, I was thinking more than 1989. I was thinking maybe Reputation.
Yeah, I think that she'd actually be more suited to that. She was also brought out during the tour then, and was quite big during Rep as well.
Yeah.
But then, again, with 1989, she was also big then with the kind of Squad stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bad Blood music videos, so it's hard.
Honestly, wherever she places Selena, it's going to work.
Do you think it'd be more pop, because that is Selena's
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely. Yeah.
So I would love her on here, but I don't think that's realistic. Another person that is a possibility is obviously Olivia Rodrigo.
Mm-hmm.
She has obviously said that she's a big Taylor Swift fan. Taylor has obviously gifted her a ring that was similar to the one that she wore during the writing of the Red era.
Yep.
She obviously didn't appear on Red, but there is a possibility that she could be on Speak Now, and I think that is more likely.
I think her sound lends to the album more than
I do think so.
1989. Honestly.
Oh, definitely. Her sound on her debut, I don't obviously know where she's going to then take her sound, but her kind of songwritery, tell-all, I'm going to say it how it is,
teen angst.
Or at least I'm going to say it how it is from my perspective.
Exactly.
So I think that's realistic. But other than that, personally for me, so now moving into our
wishes.
Favourites, mine is Kelsey Ballerini. I think Kelsey Ballerini would work perfectly. Good friend of Taylor's, respects Taylor, Taylor respects her. They've been friends for years.
Yeah, leaning into the more country side
pop
of it.
Vibe of Speak Now.
I like that.
It would just work so well.
Wish of mine, just like you have Kelsey Ballerini, which, yes, I can get behind 100%, is Nina Nesbitt. I want that collab. They met, back in 2012, and Nina is so much inspired by Taylor's songwriting. She also produces her own music, which is just...
She writes it as well, doesn't she? Which fits in the vein of Speak Now.
Exactly, she does the whole thing.
Her lyrics are also very personal.
They are, yeah. They are very vulnerable.
Oh, definitely. Kind of like Phoebe Bridgers.
Definitely.
She would fit into the category of a kind of modern
the newer artist.
It's interesting. Speak Now's hard. This one is the one I'm most worried. I've said it a million times.
I remember a few months ago, ages, because we've been speaking about Speak Now for a long time now, but ages ago, I think when Red was being uncovered and we kind of saw who the Vault track collaborators were, you sent me an audio. It was so funny. You were like, Lisa, I'm terrified for the Speak Now Vault. And I was like...
Because it's just so hard. I just don't know where to start with it. Because there's just no one that stands out as they're definitely going to be on there, or they're definitely not. We've now come to the end of this episode. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram at Swiftly Spoken Podcast, and rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.